Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today's video has been a long time coming. I've promised this quite a few times in some past videos, but this will be my July reading wrap up. We're about almost halfway through August when I am filming this, and to think back to July was like an okay reading month. I mean, I got a lot of books done, but I fell into a bit of a slump. So there are 3 books that I started in July and then finished at the beginning of August, which I'm going to include because this was the July TBR I picked, and sadly if my slump hadn't happened then I would have finished them sooner. But regardless, I'm going to show you all the books that I ended up reading this month. Out of my 11 book TBR, there was only 2 books that I didn't get to, and those were Daisy Haight by Jessa Hastings and Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez. I'm really sad I didn't get to those. Sadly, my book slump really messed me up. Without further ado, let's just dive right on in. So I ended up reading 9 books. And of the 9, I DNF'd 1. The first book I ended up finishing in July. This was a carryover from June that I was still reading, and it is Credence by Penelope Douglas. I ended up giving this book a 3.75. Usually Penelope Douglas books like hit for me. They're real good. Most of the ones I've read I have absolutely loved, and I think it's been like 3 years since I read the Devil's Night series, and I still think about it to this day. Usually Penelope Douglas books are like 4.5 to 5 stars for me. I don't know how to feel about this one. This one is a bit of a controversial book because there is some level of incest in it. Essentially, our main character, Tiernan, her parents pass away, and because she's not of age yet, she has to go move in with her uncle, who's the only family they have left, which is her father's stepbrother, and they're not related by blood. Her father's father married a woman who already had a kid. So there's no blood relation, but there is a relation because they are family. So we get to read about until she comes of age, and then whether she ends up with her uncle or her cousins. It was an interesting read. Did it need to be this thick? Did it need to be just over 500, almost 550 pages? No. I think a lot of this could have been cut out. It's like a maybe rating for me. I think if it sounds interesting to you and you want to try it out, give it a shot, but I definitely know it's not going to be for everyone. So that was Credence. The next book I ended up reading was The Do-Over by Liz Painter. I've read Better Than the Movies, and I read Betting on You. So this is my 3rd Lynn Painter book, and what can I say? Her books just hit. They're such easy reads. I believe I read this, I think it says I started it on July 3rd and I finished on July 6th. Like, it was a quick read. I think I read about this much, like a good over halfway in the first day. It just is a really quick read. Basically, the story, we follow Emily, who wants to have the perfect Valentine's Day. And when she goes to bed on Valentine's Day night, she wakes up and it's Valentine's Day again. So we have a bit of a Groundhog Day kind of repeating situation. And she gets more wilder as each time she wakes up on Valentine's Day. And there's also this Nick, who she crashes her car into, which is all over the front seat there. We get to see them meet every day, but he doesn't remember, only she does. So it was such a cute read. This one I recommend. If you want a cute one, I think this would have been perfect to read on Valentine's Day, and it's so short. It is but 285 pages. It's a quick read. I think it'd be such a cute book to read either in February or even just on Valentine's Day. Give it a shot. The next book I picked up was Good Girl Bad Blood by Holly Jackson. I think I read A Good Girl's Guide to Murder either last year or a year before, and it was 5 stars. I absolutely loved it. The whole concept was so interesting to me. This one I ended up giving also 3.75. I was hoping for more, honestly. I did not know how we were going to continue and if it was going to be a different case study that she was going to do, since the first one followed Pip doing a school project to find out what happened to Allie Bell, and there's a bit she gets involved with the murder suspect's brother Ravi, and they work together to solve the murder. So I didn't know if this one was going to continue that, because I kind of wrapped it up, so I didn't know. But this one follows a different study. I felt while I was reading this that everything was just thrown together. I was so confused what was happening. Nothing really pieced together in my head. Like, I'm reading this and there's a note that says something random, and then like everyone's giving like, oh, we might have saw him, or we saw this person, giving their insights if they saw the missing person. And I was just like confused the whole time. And then how it ended, I was like, it was one of those ones where like I couldn't have guessed it because the answer, like one of the options wasn't even on the table. 3.75 is still good. It's almost a 4-star, so I would recommend it because it's a part of the series. I'm hoping the third one is a bigger hit for me. I also really wanted more of Pip and Ravi. We didn't get too much of Pip and Ravi in this book, so maybe book 3 will give me more of what I want. That is Good Girl Bad Blood. The next book I read was Happy Place by Emily Henry. This is my second Emily Henry read, and I might just be convinced that I haven't, either Emily Henry is not for me, or I just haven't found my Emily Henry book yet, because usually these 2 books so far have been 3 stars. I think I rated People with Me on Vacation 3 stars too. So Happy Place, we follow Harriet and Wynne, who had recently broken up and didn't tell their friends, and they had a whole plan in place so that Harriet could go on her friend's like cottage getaway trip, and Wynne would find a way to get out of it. And then it happened to be the last trip, so it's their last trip together, so they brought everyone out. And now the friends know that Harriet and Wynne aren't together anymore. So we got a bit of fake dating there. There's lots of like lying and drama and lots of miscommunication between not only the couple but the friend group. And that's where it threw me a bit. I really have a hard time with miscommunication. And I felt like I usually love fake dating. Fake dating is one of my favorite tropes ever. But I also really dislike second chance romances. So this was like second chance fake dating, and it just didn't hit. So I ended up giving it 3 stars. I think I mentioned that in the beginning, but I never specifically said. But I read this on a college trip, so it was super good read if you're going out in the summer. I do think everyone should try an Emily Henry book because I do believe that there is one for everyone. I just haven't found mine yet. So that was Happy Place. The next book I ended up reading was Water Moon by Samantha Soto Yambao. 4-star. Oh, sorry. This is actually a 4.75 read. This is almost a 5-star. It just threw me a little bit at the end. I was so confused what was happening. This book was so fun to read. It has a great pacing. There is so much adventure, so much magical aspects of it. Learning about the different places and what, like, each magical element of each was so cool. Finding out a bit more about the characters and the pawn shop and the rules of the pawn shop and the rules of this world. It was so good. And also, I picked this up on a whim at the thrift store, so I had never heard anything about this. I think I saw one person read this and like it, and I picked it up on a whim because I really liked the cover. Oh my goodness, it was so good. I really want everyone, if there's any books you take from this wrap up, this one, give it a shot. The back says, just to give you like a little hook, a woman inherits a pawn shop where you can sell your regrets, and then embarks on a magical journey when a charming young physicist wanders into the shop in this dream-like fantasy novel. Please give this book a chance and read it. It was so close to being a 5-star. If the end didn't confuse me and didn't go like the way I wanted, 100% would have been a 5-star. Go read Watermound. Next book I read was Call Me By Your Name by Andre Esselman. I listened to this on audiobook because I've been recently having a hard time reading kind of like general fiction books, because I don't know if I qualify this as a romance. It might be qualified as romance. It just says fiction. I really wanted to read the book so I could watch the movie. The book I ended up giving 3 stars. It was okay. I didn't like that it was not split up by chapters. Like, if I could show you for a second. So basically, it's all just split up by like paragraph chunks. And then there's like these ones where it's like a new part. Let me see if I can bring it. Like a new part. Which was, it was kind of a weird read on audiobook, because it just kept going. And I was like, when is this chapter gonna end? And then I realized there's no chapters in the book. The writing is also very flowery, and I also don't really find myself engaging well in flowery books where they're very descriptive about the scenery, and I love it. I would love to love those books, but I love more character development stories rather than learning about the settings we're in, kind of. I don't know how to explain it, but I ended up giving 3 stars. It's okay. I think it's one of the books where it's like, I feel like everyone should give it a chance. I don't think this one's going to stay in my collection, sadly. I just don't feel a good, like, connection to it. So I'm probably going to either give it to a free little library or attend a little book swap and swap it out there. But that was that book. The next book I ended up finishing, another one I read on audiobook because I had started reading it. I made to about chapter 3, so about 40 pages in, and then I was like struggling. I quite literally was falling asleep. So I ended up listening to The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald on audiobook, and I ended up giving it a 2-star. I really wanted to like this book. I thought this was going to be like one of the classics that I actually really like. And this is my first classic. I don't know if I should have started with this book or not, or if there's any classic readers listening, if you think there's any other classics I might like. I don't know. I don't think I got the full idea of it, and I think I need to do a bit more research about it to understand better. So usually I can listen to an audiobook on 2 times speed and I can understand it just fine. But I think with classics I need to slow down because I think it was meant to be read slowly. I think another thing that my boyfriend pointed out to me is that a lot of people that read classics and literary fiction or general fiction or contemporary, there's real elements to it, whereas I use reading as an escape, and I like to read kind of like unrealistic scenarios because I'm reading to get out of the realistic of life. I find like classics might be realistic, which I will talk more about this whole realistic fiction thing in a few minutes when we talk about my DNF, but I gave it 2 stars. Weirdly enough, I'm probably going to keep this in the collection compared to the last book, just because I feel like, give me 2 or 3 years. Let me age a little more and I will give it another shot and see what I think. I think it has potential. I just feel like with where I am in my life, and especially with my mental health, I feel like this book was just not connecting in any way. So that is The Great Gatsby. We're going to do the book I DNF last, so stay tuned. I listened to The Forgotten Girls by Sarah Bladel on audiobook. This was a really good audiobook. I think I ended up reading most of this in one day. Basically, this follows Louise, who's a detective, and as well as her best friend Camilla, who's a journalist, and they find a body in the forest, and they end up putting out a photo and being like, hey, does anyone recognize this person? And then we have a lady, an older lady, come forward saying that she recognizes this young girl from when she was younger, but she had passed away when she was young, and they lived in like a psychiatric hospital, and she had a twin sister, and there's lots of lies in this book and twists and turns. And search up the trigger warnings before you read this, because there was some topics that I didn't expect to be reading about, but they were in there. So check up the trigger warnings. This was really interesting. I think I ended up giving it a 3.5 star. It was a good little thriller. Listening on audio was really good. It was really interesting. The voice actress that I listened to, if I can find who it was, I'll put it on the screen. She was really good. She would change her voice and add accents for different people. It was really entertaining to read, honestly. That was a good one. I enjoyed that one. That was a good audiobook, and I struggle with audiobooks sometimes, so if there's a good audiobook out there for me, I'm happy. The last book I ended up reading before our DNF is Lightlark by Alex Astor. I ended up reading this one 4 stars. The whole series has potential to be a 4-star series. I remember reading this book and being like, okay, I'm intrigued. Okay, we're dragging a bit. And then it's like, literally me on the last like 30 pages be like, oh my god, babe, I can't do this. I'm freaking out. Oh my gosh, this is why we hate this person. Oh my gosh. And then the twist happened and I was like, oh my god, no way. Ain't no way they just did that. I also know, because I'm reading this book later than it was released, that there's a Grimm and Oro book, and I'm still trying to figure out, because I remember when it came out, everyone's like, why would we want to read Oro's story? We don't like Oro. And I'm like trying to figure out why we didn't like Oro, and I know why we like Grimm, okay? But Oro, I was reading, I was like, okay, he seems chill, and I was like, okay, we don't like him, and then, but we do like him again, and then the ending, and I was like, I was mad at the ending, so that's why I didn't get any higher than 4, because why are we doing that? Why are we making, why is that the ending? If you haven't heard of Lightlark, where have you been? But I will let you know what it's about. Every 100 years, the island of Lightlark appears for only 100 days to host a deadly game, where the rulers of 6 realms fight to break their curses and win unparalleled power. Each ruler has something to hide. Each curse is uniquely wicked. To break them and save themselves and their realms, one ruler must die. It was really good. On to my DNF, which is really sad because I wanted to like this book, and we're going to talk about it quickly. My DNF was The Names by Florence Knapp. I believe my boyfriend's going to keep this one to read it, because this is kind of like the genre he likes. He likes reading realistic fiction, and I don't. And I learned it specifically through this one. Because of this book, I had to have my boyfriend go through my fiction section and search up all the triggers for the books. And we had to get rid of most of my, I'm pretty sure all, my Frederick Bachman books. We had to get rid of The Fletcher, my Dark Vanessa, and there was a few more. Normal People. Going into this book, all I knew was I saw this book read by Sarah Crowley, and I was like, you know, Sarah loves it, I might like it. The concept sounds interesting. Going into this, the concept I heard was we get to hear the lives of what would, like, so basically the story is like this woman is going to name her child at the registry, and she's 3 options, and we get to read about each option and what the child's life would have looked like. I did not read the back of the book. If you are going into this book, search up the trigger warnings, search up or read the back of the book, because that was my biggest mistake. This put me in a really bad slump. This book deals with a lot of DA, and that was really rough for me to read. So for that reason, we DNF'd. The problem is I really want to know what she ended up naming the child, so that's why my boyfriend's going to read it for me and tell me, because I can't keep reading it. And this is my DNF, and it's, if my boyfriend doesn't want to keep it after he's done, we will just get rid of it, because although I bought this on one of our trips, And although I try to keep all the books that I buy on our trips, I don't think it's good for me to keep a book about this topic within my collection of books that I use as an escape. This is my DNF of the month. So these are all the books I read in technically July, a little bit of the beginning of August, but let's just call it July because I'm confident I'm going to get through all of my August books. So that's it. My battery is quite literally red. It's going to turn off really soon. So thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know if you enjoyed the reading wrap up. I've never done one of these before, and I tried filming this before and it just was not good. I was not enjoying it, but I feel like I refilmed it and I feel better about it. Let me know how you felt about it. Give it a like if you enjoyed it and you want more of them in the future, because I can totally do more. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you guys in my next video. Bye.
Do you hear that? My sanity about to break while everyone I know's out on a trip on a